what separates you in terms of your background and your approach to leadership that's going to make somebody go, I'm going to turn away from these two very visible public figures, and I'm going to take a shot at you, on you, for you?
Well, I'm certainly somebody that in the last week has been out there earning a living in the private sector, somebody who understands what it is to have to meet a payroll, to pay taxes on work that you've produced rather than from the public sector. I don't want to criticize public employees because I know that they provide a service to us, but the reality is that government function ought to be limited. It is the private sector that government is there to protect. Government's job is to ensure justice and to get out of the way so that entrepreneurs and hardworking individuals in Texas can produce and can keep for their family that they're working for. I've been in that segment. Kay and Rick have been so far removed, they don't have the foggiest notion of the impact of the laws that they've passed and how they truly are affecting moms and dads and hardworking folks all across our state.
Debra Medina, Texas governor candidate, kind of get us to where you are on illegal immigration and border issues, specifically with Texas.
We haven't had any commitment, any real true level of commitment to those problems. I have been down along the border beginning to visit with the 14 border county sheriffs, talk with them about what the real issues are that they're facing and how Texas might step up and help, looking at providing additional resources in the form of money to them, also in the form of manpower to them. Texas has got to continue, no question. It's pressure on Washington, D.C. to do the constitutional job of securing the nation's borders. But as Washington has continued to ignore that, we can't hold our breath any longer. We've got to address that problem, and it has to start with securing that border and ensuring that all traffic across the border come through the legal ports of entry.
How do you, if you're in office, what is your first move, or what is your approach to begin to do that?
Well, I think that what's going on in Presidio right now is a great example of what's likely to happen. We've got Washington, D.C. making a decision that they are going to deport a number 37,000 individuals from out of state through Presidio, Texas. All of us recognize, obviously, drive these folks to the border, ask them to get off and walk across the border, that they are likely to come right back into Texas. Immediately, Texas needed to send support to the sheriff in Presidio County and help him secure that county's border. Probably the adjoining counties on either side need some support as well. And Rick Perry sends a hand-wringing letter to Janet Napolitano and says, we don't think this is a good idea. Granted, it's not a good idea, but where is the muscle from Texas to say, no, folks, we mean it. When we say this border is secure, we mean it's secure. Go back into your home country. If you'd like to come to the United States, go through the legal process of immigration. You are not coming back across the border in Texas.
Perry gives that a great deal of lip service, but only recently have I seen that he has gotten out and begun to get aggressive about it. Is that a significant weakness for he or Kay Bailey right now that you can exploit?
I think it is. I mean, he's given lip service. I'm not seeing that he's given a lot of manpower down there, especially in Presidio County. I talked with the executive director of the Border Sheriff's Coalition a couple of days after that process started. They hadn't heard anything from the government of the great state of Texas.
kind of an obvious thing, right? One of the first things you'd think of. When you look at the issue of let's circle back to another big one, Obamacare, health care. You have a nation right now in a Congress, and in fact, blowoutcongress.com update, which we'll get to you here in a moment. You have a Congress that has, I guess, very aggressively and overtly put us into an extraordinary amount of debt. We are far in far greater debt than we have ever been in our lifetimes. That being said, these people in Congress have in essence forced down the throats of the states a bill that they have to pay. They have to spend the money the way the government says the money has to be. The federal government has to be spent. If you're governor and all of these stimulus dollars come flowing downhill to Texas, what do you do?
I'm leading as of Sunday a week ago, saying we need the Texas legislature to go into session, special session. We need the governor to call a special session now before the end of the year to nullify that federal monster that's coming at us in the form of nationalized health care. Thomas Jefferson said it is the unquestionable right of the state to to determine when the federal government overreaches the Constitution, and the rightful remedy is nullification. Our friends in Arizona have already nullified nationalized health care. It'll be a constitutional amendment on their ballot next year. 10 other states have already pre-filed nullification language they're going to be hearing in their legislatures beginning in 2010. Texas is sitting here while our people are fixing to be assaulted with the biggest tax hike in our nation's history, with nationalization of health care, with conservatives understanding that the government's role, the federal government's role in health care should be non-existent. There is no constitutional authority for intervention into health care. Texas will take care of Texans when it comes to health care. We need to nullify that bill. We need to get on that today. I hope your listeners will call their state representatives, call their state senators, encourage them to begin discussing, debating, and drafting that language so that we can get a special session held in Texas, get that bill passed, and take this to the federal court, get an injunction against the IRS and the 111 other agencies that are going to have their fingers in our bank accounts come next January if this bill passes during this fiscal year.
742 on 570 KLIF. Texas gubernatorial candidate Debra Medina with us in studio here. Her positions and a number of things that she's talking about are things that obviously deeply concern Texans. The states' rights, federal rights, these are things that are to many of us existential really issues. For those of you that would like to check in and would like to talk with Debra, ask her questions, your numbers are 214-787-1570, 800-583-1570, and pound KLIF on your AT&T wireless phones. Debra, the other thing that jumps out at me here in the middle of this discussion is there is a necessity, obviously, for you to be out on the road every day, pounding away, getting the message to people. What are you, right now, what is it going to take for you to win?
Continued support from all over Texas, lots of shoe leather and elbow grease, dollars where people have them. We need money to run more media. You and I were talking about off air. Still a name ID problem in Texas. Have to make sure that people understand there is another horse in this race. She's a dark horse. She's going to work hard. She's going to champion the people of Texas. When that message gets out, we're finding great support. But Texas is kind of beat ourselves up a lot talking about how big we are. I hate to kind of keep reiterating that. We all know how big we are, but it's huge, and that means I need to be all over the state. I'm doing a lot of traveling. There's expenses associated with that. If we could buy more media time, we would like to do that. That would sure help get the message out, get the word out that there's another candidate in this race, and we will win when we get the name ID out there.
What is the, I guess, where are you being received the best? Where are you finding a more, fertile fields for votes right now?
Outside of Austin and outside of Washington. I mean, you know, everybody in Texas is hungry for that conservative candidate who really does believe in getting the government off our backs. I say, I think we all understand if the government would just let us get out there and get after it, let us work hard. We're willing to work hard, aren't we? You were talking about the things that you do to provide for your family. We're willing to work hard if we get to keep the fruit of our labor. And there's no question in Texas that people are entrepreneurial. We've got tons of natural resources here. Get the government, get Washington, D.C. and Austin off of our back. We won't have an economic crisis in Texas. We won't have a problem in Texas providing the essential government services. But we've got to back Washington up. We've got to quit spending so much in the state, and we've got to allow people to produce and keep what they work for.